if you have an addition word like sum, you may end up subtracting, right? So you put the sign there, what that represents, and then you look at whether you're going to add or subtract. So we get 23. Okay? Now, let's say, same words. Let's say we want to find, same thing except for one thing's going to be different. 13 less than a minus 10. Now with less than, that's going to be a minus, but what do we have to be careful when we're using less than? Less than is like from. If we were to say 13 from 10, negative 10, if we were to say 13 from negative 10, well, how would you write it? Negative 10 minus 13, right? So that's how you have to look at less than. 13 less than negative 10, the order is switched. So now it's negative 10 minus 13.
You get the operation of a large number.
And so now we're going to go ahead and apply that property of subtraction, right? Change the minus sign to a plus, change the sign of the next number. And so now are we,
Two negatives.
yeah. So now we've got negative 10 and negative 13 is going to give us a negative 23. Now, the answer came out to be the same. Probably I should have used different numbers because of, but what will be different is if this was this was a negative and this was a negative, and then you applied it, and then you're going to get different signs. But you have to be careful with subtraction. Order does matter for subtraction because you're going to have opposite signs. And then with one way, what's more critical is if we were to say, let's say, if we were to say negative 2 less than a negative 5. So, well, that would be like saying from, right? Negative 2 from negative 5. So you would write this how? What would go first? Negative 5 minus a negative 2. And so now we're going to go ahead and apply our property of subtraction. And so now our answer is negative 3. But if you had it negative 2 minus a negative 5, you would end up with a positive 3. So you have to be careful with the signs when you're working with these. Okay? Alright. Any questions with that? Alright, let's go to a new page.
So, can you do one like the number 92? How much larger is 5 than 11? Minus 11?
How much larger is the same thing as a minus? Because you're saying it would be like saying how much larger is 7 than 2, right? You would subtract there. If you were to say how much larger
Is a minus.
is 7 than 2, you would say 7 minus 2, right? Well, if you're saying how much larger is 3 than negative, let's say, 8. Well, 3 is larger than 8, right? Here's 3. Here's negative 8. 3 is larger than negative 8. Well, you would write write this as 3 minus a -8, right? Because how much larger, look at it as a minus sign, okay? Just like you did up here. So that would be 3 minus -8, apply minus sign to a plus, change the sign to the next number, and so that's really going to be what? 11, right? Well, if there's 3 units and there's 8 more units, that's 11 units, right? Okay? So that's why you're putting a minus there, because that'll be minus a negative, and you get a positive, you get plus for the difference between the two.
Who created this stuff?
This stuff's been
He
around
did, but he's not here.
long before us.
I can imagine. That was the purpose.
Alright.
Okay. Let's say we have, let's look at problems 101 and 118.